All right, let's get right into it. We're about to dive into one of the most, well, unsettling laws of power. It's one that goes against pretty much everything we're taught about friendship and loyalty. It basically suggests that the people you're closest to, they might just be the most dangerous. This quote from Voltaire, it wasn't just him being cynical for the sake of it. He was tapping into a really scary truth about human nature. The whole idea behind law number 2 is that your biggest threats, they often don't come from your obvious enemies, but from the people who are supposed to have your back. So here's the judgment, the core of the law. Be wary of friends. When you give a friend a position of power, you're not just getting an ally. Oh no. You're inviting envy. You're inviting entitlement. But a former enemy? They don't have any of that baggage. Their loyalty has to be proven, which means they're going to work a whole lot harder for you. To really get this, we need a story. And our first one is a brutal, brutal cautionary tale. It shows you exactly what happens when you ignore this law and put all your faith in the cozy but deceptive comfort of a friend. Okay, so picture this. You're Michael III. You're a young, pretty inexperienced emperor, and you're surrounded by schemers and backstabbers in the Byzantine court. You are vulnerable. You desperately need someone you can trust. Who do you turn to? And here's where Michael makes his fatal choice. He completely overlooks his intelligent, ambitious uncle, Bardas, a guy with actual experience, and instead, he picks his best friend, Basilius. And why? Because he trusted him. Basilius was his friend, and Michael figured that friendship, that gratitude, would guarantee his loyalty. And Michael didn't just give his buddy a job. He completely transformed him. He showered Basilius with money, gave him the best education, and just kept promoting him to the highest levels of power. Michael saw all this as an investment in loyalty. What he was really doing was feeding an absolute monster of ambition. And here's the turn. As soon as Basilius got a taste of real power, he wanted more. He saw the competent uncle, Bardas, as a rival, so he started poisoning Michael's mind against him. And then, during a horse race, Basilius himself stabbed Bardas to death. Just like that, the loyal friend had become a cold-blooded operator. But he didn't stop there. When Michael finally started to wise up and asked for a little of the money back, well, the friendship was officially over. Basilius had the emperor murdered in his sleep. And then, for the ultimate act of betrayal, he paraded his former best friend's head on a pike through the streets. So, what was Michael's fatal flaw? He truly believed that gratitude would create this unbreakable bond. But here's the psychological twist. When you receive a massive favor, it doesn't always feel like a gift. It can feel like a burden. Basilius started to resent Michael's generosity, and he preferred to believe he'd earned it all himself. Friendship blinded the emperor right up until the very end. Okay, so let's contrast Michael's bloody failure with an emperor who understood this law perfectly. One was murdered by the man he created, the other founded a dynasty that ruled for 300 years. The difference was all in how they handled their friends and their enemies. And this brings us to how to actually use the law. Let's take a look at Emperor Sung of China, who basically gave a masterclass in turning deadly threats into his greatest assets. In 10th century China, becoming emperor was essentially a death sentence. The pattern was brutally simple. Your own generals, your supposed friends in the military, would eventually kill you and take over. Emperor Sung knew this when he took the throne. The question was, how on earth was he going to survive? Instead of plotting his own counter-assassinations, Sung did something absolutely genius. He threw a huge party for all his powerful commanders. After they were good and drunk, he didn't threaten them. He appealed to them. He said, I live in fear. I know you guys are loyal, but what if your own soldiers force you into a coup? And then he offered them a deal they couldn't refuse. Retire right now with immense wealth and beautiful estates, and just give up your power. And Sung applied this same logic to his actual enemies. When a king he had just defeated was afraid his wine was poisoned, Sung laughed, took the cup, and drank it himself. When he found out another rival was plotting against him, he didn't execute him. He showed him the proof of the conspiracy, and then pardoned him. And this right here is the core psychology. These former enemies, they were expecting death, but they got mercy instead. See, a friend expects favors. They feel entitled to them. But a pardoned enemy, they expect nothing, and they're grateful for everything. And that gratitude is so much more powerful and reliable. So let's break down the principles here. Why exactly is a converted enemy so often more valuable than a lifelong friend when you're talking about the calculus of power? I mean, this comparison really lays it all out, doesn't it? A friend can easily get envious. They can feel entitled to your help. A former enemy, though, has everything to prove. A friendship gets all clouded by emotions, but a relationship with a converted enemy, it's crystal clear. It's built on mutual self-interest and a totally clean slate. The simple takeaway is this: work and friendship are a dangerous cocktail. You hire friends because you think you know them, but that familiarity can actually hide their flaws. And at the end of the day, in any professional setting, skill and competence have to trump those warm, fuzzy feelings, every time. The Roman historian Tacitus put it so bluntly. He said that for a lot of people, gratitude feels like a debt. It's a burden you have to carry. But revenge, that feels like a pleasure. It's a cynical view of human nature for sure, but it's essential for understanding why relying on gratitude is such a risky strategy. But look, this law isn't just about being ruthless. You can apply it with incredible sophistication. Take Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't talking about hiring former Confederates into his cabinet. He was talking about the ultimate power move, transforming an enemy into an ally. When you do that, you don't just neutralize a threat, you gain a resource. So, after seeing a king's head on a pike and another emperor's 300-year dynasty, the uncomfortable lesson starts to become pretty clear. In the world of power, trust isn't about the warmth of your shared past. It's about the calculated loyalty of the present. And sometimes, just sometimes, the person you have the most to fear is the one you call a friend.